doing fire suppression, and we wanted to show you guys how we do this. So this is a piece of the line. You have to flare it, and we're going to do that here so you can see it. Other than that, really all you have to do is route it through the car, and we'll show you how we ran ours and why we chose to do it that way. So all you need is a single flare. This is a double flare kit, but we don't use the other parts, so we'll just do a single flare on it. But we cut the line to the length we wanted. We've already fitted it to the car. So we've cut the line, and it's very important after you cut the line to clean this up. I use the end of my file and kind of put it down in there, because as you can see when you cut it, it kind of turns that in. So you want to open that back up. You could probably use a small screwdriver or anything. Don't put too much pressure to where you start to mushroom out the end of the line. Just clean that up a little bit. I think this part is about as important as any part of getting a decent flare. And then we'll file that down where it's rough from where we cut it. Make sure that's still nice and even in there. Clean. Still a little rough. And I also just lightly hit the ends of it just to make it smooth. That way when you do flare it, it's not all sharp and jagged, and it just makes it a lot cleaner and smoother when you're done. But once you get it prepped, and cleaned up nicely, then straight flare. But seriously, take your time and do a nice job with that, because I've flared a few of the other ones and they don't turn out very good if you don't get them nice and smooth and even like that. So once you do it, you put it in your flare tool. These are 1/4 inch lines, so we put them in the 1/4 inch spot, and you want it to be just flush with where your hand sits across the top of that. Hold on here, I'll show you better once I get this on. So yeah, you just, like when you rub your hand across it, you want it to be even with the top. If you raise it up too much, it flares it too much open and it'll start to split the flare, and just put it even with the top of that. That was something I had to kind of research and see what I was doing, because to do a double flare, you would flare that, basically you would roll that in and then you flare it out, but we're just doing a single flare, so you just want to put that flush. And as you can see, these are kind of beveled down in there, so this tool, this will go down into there and flare that out, and it'll put it perfectly into that beveled part of the tool. So once you get that in and set where you want it, slide your tool over top and line that up down there, tight snug it up. And once you get it snug, make sure everything's nice and even. You want to make sure your line's fairly straight where it goes through that. If not, your flare is going to be off-centered and cockeyed, so get everything fairly square when it goes through there. And then all you want to do is tighten this down. It'll start to flare that out. Actually, yeah, didn't tighten that down all the way, but it will now flare it out and kind of bottom out there. You'll feel it start to get snug, and that's good enough. Then back it off. Take your tool off, and then open this back up, and that's one side done. So yeah, it's a nice flare on it. And also very important, this side isn't flared yet, so don't forget to put your fittings on before you flare this other side, because once you flare both sides, you cannot get your fittings and the ferrule's over it. So now you will see so this is inside the nut, and this is beveled just like that is. So that part will go on first, and that's what seats on the flare. And then your threaded side will go with that because that's what tightens down to your fitting. So that will, if I can get it back out there. So you can see how it's beveled just like that is, and it sits nice and even all the way around down in that flare. And then this will slide over that, and that's what holds it tight once you finally tighten it down to your fitting. So that's one side done. Now, again, before you start to do too much work on this side, make sure you put that fitting on and make sure you have it faced in the correct direction. So your beveled, flared in. The part that the flare will sit up against will go, actually put the nut on first, threaded side out. Then this will go inside of there. So now we'll do the same thing to this one that we did to the other one. We will clean this up, open it back up to where it needs to be, and then this line is done. And I'll show you, well, here, actually I can show you right now. So once this is done and we flare that other side, your nozzle goes on there, and if you look, the nozzle sits down in the flare, so that all will seat tightly once you tighten that down. Then we'll show you where we put the nozzle inside the car. But now all we have to do is flare this side, and I'll show you the rest so you don't have to watch me do the same thing twice. But I just want to show you how to flare in case you've never done it.